All right, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do to get into this one, but what I do know is we're gonna jump right in. So if you could, jump in with me. So what we're working on is the YD100. Where we left off with this is very simple. We left off with all the port work is done. It's sealed to the case and I made spacers. So really guys, all I have to do is finish building it. We are 100% sealed to the deck. Piston rings are on. Everything is great for the motor, compression, and all that jazz. The basic gist of it is all we gotta do is put the coil in, put the magnets on, and put the clutch in. And you can see the clutch isn't in right now, and that's a problem. Why is this a problem? Because you can't go anywhere if you don't have a way to get there. Sure. So this is where we're at. I don't know if you remember, recently I had to put a screw in as the pin because, now I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if this is the original clutch for this motor or not. I have literally 3 clutches just sitting here and another one up there buried behind everything, and then, you know, tons more out there. I really don't know if this is the right clutch or not, the stock clutch or whatnot. So it's just the clutch I grabbed and the clutch we're gonna use. But to use it, we gotta make it work. So the pin has got a bend to it. Can you see that in camera land? Pretty sure you can. How about you guys? Yeah, okay, good. So what we're gonna do, now this is not hardened steel, this is only mild steel. I wish I had a drill bit so I could use tool steel, but I'm gonna use this. Remember, okay, so this sits over this, like this, right? And then this sits in here. Now mind you, there's still other pieces that go to this, but for all intents and purposes is what we're gonna show you. So that goes like that. And then the pin goes through there to hold this so that it can travel freely in that slot. Well, since this bent, it does not sit. In fact, it slips out of one side, and in turn, with all the spring pressure, it actually, see how it's cocked like this? It's not much, but it's enough to be a problem. So it cocks like that, and once it cocks like that, basically what it does is binds up a lot more, doesn't give you free action of the clutch, and it also doesn't put the proper pressure on the clutch from there on out, which is a major problem and the main problem of why I'm doing this, because you need to have equal pressure on so you can idle at lights and do all that other jazz. So to rectify this problem, we're gonna do what we did to the other motor. We're gonna use this screw. This screw is perfect size, it just fits in. So all we gotta do is cut it to length, and we gotta grind down this part. That's our goal, that's what we're doing, and once that's done, I swear, this spring, tell me that spring doesn't look tweaked to you. It looks like it's bent a little, doesn't it? I think it does, whatever. It's the one that came in, it's the one we're gonna use, but I think it's been riding like that for a long time. That's one of the reasons why I took this clutch out, probably, is because I was having issues with it. So, we're gonna get this fixed up right now. I believe I also have some special high-end clutch pads to throw in here. Do I need them? Definitely not. Will I use them? Probably, maybe. Because once the clutch is done, we can slap it in the motor and finish doing all the little bobs, bits, and whatnot. So, okay, first apologize for the sound in the background with the air conditioner or any other sound made by other countries. So when I put a clutch together, because I do 99% of the time, I raise the compression of the spring by tightening the preload of the spring before I worry about the flower nut. And I don't want it coming apart or moving. Now granted, red thread locker, they say, is the end all. You don't use it unless it's never coming apart. Well, I really don't want this to come apart, but more than anything, it doesn't bother me. Like, you can get it off by simply heating the piece up. Now remember, I put the thread locker on before I assemble it. I made the custom pin, so I wanted to make sure the pin is in a good spot. Meaning, you see the pin right there? See where the pin is there? I wouldn't want the pin there because that is the lowest point of the spring and it won't make contact as easy. So what I do is I spin it there. So you can't see the pin, but you see where the slot in the shaft is? That means the pin's going through there. So the pin is now lined up right here. And you can see the pin is on a flat spot right there. So boom. You can do this with the flower nut when it's all said and done, but I prefer to have a good bit of preload beforehand. So you see, you count the threads. So you have 1, it's 2, and see how I almost got the third one exposed? It's 2.5. So that's good. It's tight, it's strong, the pin is straight. We're good. All right, so we are back at it again. The cylinder, as you know, is glued on and ready to go. Next, the clutch is together and ready to go. And now we're moving on to final assembly. So with final assembly comes something interesting. So I don't know if you guys remember, but the whole reason that this came off of the bike is because Benny crashed the bike. The wheel locked up, but the reason the wheel locked up is because of this. The gear, the bevel gear on the side of the motor split in two. So we're putting a new one on, obviously, because the old one is obviously no good. All right, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I probably say this every single time with every single motor, but I am pretty excited about this. I really wanna see if this thing's got any guts. All right, so we are moving on to the side. I have got clutch cover on, and I got the bevel gear all on and tightened. The next thing we're gonna do is the magnet and the Magneto. This crank, if you remember, I wanted to put a brand new crank in, because the reason that the motor failed that this top end was on was because the crank blew apart. I thought it was my port work. It ended up being the crank. It was when I was really new to doing all this kind of stuff, and I was only starting to get decent at porting and stuff. I thought I just did something catastrophic with the squish and all that, but it ended up being the crank. It was making a good bit of power. I put it on a very old YD100 and the crank just didn't hold up. So to remedy that problem, even though I did eventually get in the new rod and bearings to fix the original crank that goes in here, or was in here, I put one of my other brand new complete cranks in. I think it's an FM80, it's in the video. But that is slightly shallow for the facing of the case. So if you put the magnet on by itself, it just scrapes. Just gonna use one washer for spacing because why not? But one washer is not enough. Now it does clear it, and it honestly would probably just self-clearance if there was any issues, but there's always a little bit of run out. So running 2 washers gets it out just the right amount. And when I test fit the new coil that is going in, I test fit it on there, and with the 2 washers, the magnet and the coil are almost dead level. Make sure when you do it, it is at the 1 o'clock position. All right, we are done. I have got the rear mount. I have got the front mount. I even got the gasket for the exhaust. The exhaust I'm gonna use is on the bike, so we'll do that then. I have the spark plug in. I have the clutch, nice amount of clutch. I have the intake attached. Everything is Gucci. We are ready to go. So let's go put this on the bike. Wait a second, we can't do that. I mean, okay, we could do that. We can put this on the bike right now, but it would be completely pointless because the rim is not on the bike. I don't know if I told you yet, but the rim kind of exploded, so to speak. The rear rim on tweaker on my way to the mailbox, and it only happened because I wasn't recording when it happened. Everything always breaks when I'm not recording because just bad juju to not record. So we have to fix that rim, the hub, the bearings, before we can put the motor on, because there's no point in putting this motor on the bike if we can't even test it. All right guys, so I got the wheel apart, and I'm gonna be honest, I really thought it was gonna be a much easier fix and something that was gonna happen fairly quickly. And I have come very quickly to realize that it's not happening. Full transparency. Like I said, I thought this was gonna be an easy fix because I thought for sure that this axle was due to snap. As you guys know, I snap a lot of axles on tweaker, and I thought for sure it was due to snap 3-4 months ago. So the fact that it went this long was amazing to me, to say the least. It still didn't snap, and it's actually still true, which is also really baffling to me. So when it all happened, like I said, I wasn't recording. I was riding, and all of a sudden it was getting really hard to ride on flat ground. Like it was just chewing itself to bits. See how it's actually chewed up? Like, that's crazy. So the bearings actually got pushed. Right at the bottom, there's a crack. If you look here, this is supposed to be concave. This is just flat for the most part. Also, a bunch of stuff got chewed off. Now, I use Lucas grease. I use the green grease. I use good grease. And you guys know I take this apart and maintenance it on the regular. A lot of times because I have to, but like once I did it because I wanted to. Who are you judging? You've probably never even done it. It looks like paste in here, and to be honest with you, it looks like metallic paste. I think I'm in a lot worse shape because you guys know that I JB welded the hubs into this. I JB welded front wheel hubs into this. Yeah, and new races. But that's what that look is. It looks like it wore the metal straight out. So, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, since I fixed these wheels, I mean, these wheels have always been on the bike through 3 different motors, 4, maybe 5 different motors. There's probably 30,000 miles on these rims. I mean, they got to be what, 2 years and old now. They have a lot of miles, a lot of hard miles, and this is the side where everything came out. Although the other side does not look any better. Yeah, basically what I think happened is I just wore the race out. Either way, I'm taking both sides out, and I'm gonna have to JB weld new races in. So this wheel is definitely out of commission. You can see the cone nut like I showed you, but look at the axle itself. I can't believe it didn't snap. So it is most definitely safe to say that I 100% need a new everything for this wheel. Ah, it stinks. I think the only thing that makes sense is to take one of my other wheels and put it on tweaker just so I can kind of ride it a little with this motor and stuff, just for fun. You know, I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot here with this because I really wanted to put rotored brakes on the rear because I have them on the front, and to do that means I'm gonna have to do something to the rear rack. Either way, I've been wanting to put rear rotored brakes on tweaker pretty much since forever. And honestly, the wheel is set up for it. I don't know. We gotta sit, we gotta think, we gotta ponder, and we'll figure it out. I don't know what I'm gonna do right now. Do is we're gonna fix up a wheel. I have this gem of a wheel that is completely destroyed, barely turns, the bearings are falling out, and it's got a lot of crud all over it. Let's see what I can do. So the wheel I chose is just a really old school steel wheel. You know I like steel wheels. I don't like the aluminum wheels too much for myself because I'm a plump person. And this wheel is old school steel. It's got nice and true. It does have at least one spoke that's completely broken at the moment, or just loose. So we'll go through it and fix all that. It does ride true right now, so I don't know, but it also already has the gear off, which is nice. So it's a little bit less work to do. For the most part, it seems like the axle is straight-ish. So let's get the tire off. We're gonna put Tweaker's tire on here, the Surface Drifter, and we're just gonna clean it all up, take it apart, re-grease it, repack it with new grease, get it 100%, put a 44.2 sprocket on it, and just take it from there and see what happens. And then, once that is done, we can then put the motor on Tweaker, and at the same time take Benny's motor off of Tweaker and possibly put it on his bike. We're not gonna put it on his bike, but he doesn't know that yet. Okay guys, so I think I'm taking the motor all the way off again. So as I was tightening down the one stud, I could have swore I felt it spin, even though it's still tight. Also, kid you not, I can push it in this far before I have thread engagement. Not to mention, if you look, that is definitely a thread in the thread. So I need to take that off. I'm hoping I can tap it and put a helicoil in there. Also, another thing that is very quickly becoming a problem and heir apparent a problem period is I need more space for the air filter. What I need is I need a bigger block in the rear so I can pull it off of the rear post motor, which means I would need bigger bolts in the back. Granted, I could put a regular carb on here, and I could also finagle this at a weird angle to make this work. But I don't like running the motor at a weird angle, if at all possible. So the motor is coming all the way off, and we're taking it back inside to go under the knife. Nonetheless, we now have a game plan, and we know what to do. This is what it comes down to. So I had the motor on the bike. It was flying. I only got to ride it around the block once. The main thing that was a problem for me instantly that made me start investigating a little, I want to be able to put the air filter on the carburetor for obvious reasons. In case you don't remember, this is the original YD100 case from Tweaker when I first put the YD100 on it. So it is well loved. Yeah, it's extremely loved. Scratch that. So this case, I originally made it just for this cylinder. So I never really had this on the bike for long, and it ended up going off and on and off and on. And I guess when I built this, I didn't realize that it was an issue, but when I tighten it down, the threads are not great. So I like to use the front mount when at all possible. I think it's just a much more secure fit to the bike. It gives less vibrations, and it's all around just a better deal. What that does though is, because you're not using the universal mount, it brings it lower into the triangle, and that makes the seat post bar much closer to the carburetor, which normally isn't an issue. But because I'm using the HP carb, and it's got the fake Spectra or Canon filter on it, it's a little bit larger than a standard red cover filter. So I need to get the motor up higher in the triangle and farther from the seat post. But when I went to tighten it down just to do the original test ride that you saw, I could feel that as I tightened it, it just kind of went to a certain point and then it stayed at that point. I knew I was stripping it at that point, like the threads were just pulling out. So needless to say, that's a problem. So what we got to do to fix this problem, I'm going to do a helicoil. But to get the carburetor or the air filter in the right position, I need to move it up and forward, and that's going to take a little shazamming. So we got to extend those bolts. We also have to make some kind of a custom block. I mean, it's not going to be that custom. It's the standard rear mount that has that little U that goes around the seat post. Okay, the standard block that just goes right against the studs, right? It just goes over the studs, and then this sits right up against the seat post mount or the seat post pole, and you just tighten it down like that. Well, to get this where I need it to give me the space up here for the carburetor, yeah, I need the mount to be about here. So as you can see, that gives me a lot of space. So we got to make a custom mount. We have to get custom studs, which I'm honestly thinking cylinder studs will be fine. Now, like I've said many times, don't recommend doing this like this, but this is how I'm doing it. I do it like that because it's easy for me to keep control of the drill and get it started. But once it's started, I then go to a hand tool to get a real feel. Because using the drill, it's easy for me to keep it straight. But if you've done this before, you probably understand what I'm saying. Now, I'm spraying a little WD because when you're doing anything like this, you should always lube it up. It makes it much easier, and it makes the threads much cleaner, because aluminum can get marred up so easily. Now, when you put it in your chuck, if you do it this way, you don't tighten it all the way down. You want it to spin, so when it binds up, it just spins. Okay, can you see in there? Get a good look. Threads look great. Really came out clean. Very, very happy. Now, I don't have a air compressor, unfortunately, so I always go to the bottom and stir the bottom up so that I can tap out whatever's in there, because stuff always comes out. Now, to put in the threads. Not gonna lie, I love using helicoils. They do a great job. So that's done. That is ready to go back on the bike. Almost. Now we gotta figure out this rear mount situation. What we got going on is we got the bike going on, we got the motor going on the bike. Hopefully, we'll see. I didn't really explain much, but I'll show you what's here. So all I did was put another mount on. I just flipped it, but I also ran much longer studs. And what that does is that gets us away from there so we can fit this on here. Boom, fits, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So that's really great. I know it's silly to be using this carburetor in a lot of you all's opinions. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know, but I'm really stoked with it. It started right up last time, and I really dig that automatic choke. That's super nice. So let me get this all mounted up, and I'll bring you back in a few minutes, and we can take her for a test ride. All right, guys, we're going to McDonald's. Let's see how she runs. I'm just gonna pick up some food. Thought I figured I might as well video while I'm going there and see what's good. GoPro 360. You're down by the motor. It might be loud, but let's see what we got going on. First start since I adjusted stuff. The brakes are working this time, so that's a plus. is slipping, but I think this is moving. Yeah, see how much play I got? Or the inside, the clutch, the flower nut is moving. Yeah, look, I got way too much play. We got to fix that.
You want to see what I'm doing?
Yeah, I want to see what you're doing, how much you're revving at. Just go around the block once.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of gas. I want to get back and I want to
go around the block, just like you did. It cut off on me. I was giving it gas. Cut off on me. I gave it gas. It cut off on me.
Just start it back up.
Ran out of gas.
No, it didn't, bro. The spark plug's right here.
I didn't know. I didn't look.
Yeah, you didn't look.
I didn't look.
Yeah, you didn't. Say it again. What?
I didn't look.
You didn't look. Get back out there. Come on, man. I want to get a drive-by.
Keep falling off. Keep
gotta be
coming
hitting with
off.
your foot or something,
I'm
bro.
not. No, I'm not. I'm not.
I'm
not, bro. Let me ride one more time. It keeps vibrating off. It keeps vibrating off. It keeps vibrating off. Look at the GoPro. Look at the GoPro. See, keep vibrating off. It keeps vibrating off.
You know what it is? My bike's like, get Benny off my bike.
It
That's what
keeps
Benny West is
vibrating
doing.
off.
No, bro, it didn't do
vibrates
it.
off.
It didn't do it once for me, and I rode it more than you. And,
vibrates
bro,
off.
my bike is saying, get Benny off my bike. He
Look
already
at the
broke me
GoPro.
once. He already broke me once. It doesn't matter what the
Look at the
GoPro says.
GoPro
My
says.
bike says it doesn't want you on it. Tweaker says, get Benny off.
Look at the GoPro.
Don't care what the GoPro says. Tweaker said, get off. Be easy, bro.
Beat real quick.
Yeah. See you
good?
later, bro. Yeah. Where you going? Oh, your thing? All right.
Yeah, I'll be.
It's happening again already. This is crazy.